I failed her. I failed her. Poor Scarborough. She had an accident in the theatre today. It was another long day in the theatre. The cast was tiring, as were the crew. It was the install period, and everyone is working hard and tiring out. I spent most of the morning trying to resurrect failed equipment ready for the tech run of today's show. I hadn't been in the theatre for 2 days, as my duties were in the after-show lounge. I hadn't clocked that one of my floor lights had been moved, but by who? Fuck only knows. That is irrelevant. I should have clocked the fact that this light had been moved. It wasn't by much, only by half a foot. Still, I just didn't clock it. It came to the finale of the second dress run. It was an Irish dance number. At the end of the dance, the cast would move upstage and create a big V shape by walking backwards. Most people wouldn't notice, but at the front of the stage there are numbers that the dancers could see, but not the audience. This allowed the dancers to work out exactly where they were on stage. They would then count their steps and relate it to the number they were in line with. The lineup of the dancers was correct. The V-shape was starting to take effect. The inner dancers were correct. The dancers either side of the middle were moving upstage. I could see it happening, but I was powerless to do anything. By the time I grabbed the rehearsal god microphone, Scarborough, who was at the very edge of stage right, had tripped over the floor unit that was behind her. She fell arse over tit and landed flat on her back.
No.
I ran down from the control room and up onto the stage to see if she was okay. This is where I noticed that the floor unit had been moved from its spiked position. I knew that I wouldn't get in trouble as I placed the light in position a day ago, so the cast could rehearse in the correct conditions. Though being shit was the least of my worries. All I cared about was the safety of the injured dancer. The head dancer from head office was on stage with me as we both picked up Scarborough and carried her off the stage and laid her down to the floor of the auditorium. The head dancer broke the cast early for lunch whilst we were examining Scarborough for injuries and making the poor girl as comfortable as possible as we waited for the medical team to arrive. I noticed a slight burn on Scarborough's arm, which was from the heat of the moving light she tripped over. I shouted over to the stage manager, who was an incompetent fool. "Are you going to stand there like a fucking lemon or something? Can you do something useful and fetch me in a medical kit?" After the unnecessary prompt, he sent one of his stage boys down with me with the medical kit. I opened it up and found the Savlon cream. The stuff was good for burns, as well as having antiseptic properties. I rubbed a small amount of cream into the burn and this began to cool it down. The medics finally arrived and took Scarborough away to the medical centre. Then I beckoned the stage manager over to the head dancer and myself. He reluctantly came over. "Who moved the light from the spike mark?" I said calmly. The stage manager, Mumbai, started to look into space and not towards my guys. We now have got an injured dancer just before opening night of this show. I want to know who moved that light. Mumbai still looked into space and avoided my eye. "Don't look into the sky. The stars don't have the answer," I said. "Are you or are you not the stage manager?" Mumbai nodded. "So who moved the light from the spike mark?" I said. I did," he said nervously. I bit my lip and had a brief pause before I gave Mumbai the lecture of his life. "We work in one of the most dangerous industries you can work with, combined with working at sea. Because it becomes even more dangerous." I paused. "Because you moved that light for whatever reason and didn't return it, that poor girl not only has a burn to her arm, she has probably injured her back. That fall she had looked painful, and I heard her slam into the stage from the inside of the control room. Now what are you going to do about this?" I said. Mumbai looked away and into the sky once more. "Look, the sky doesn't have the answer," I said. "Look into my fucking eyes. Now give me the answer. What the fuck are you going to do about this?" I said sternly. I don't know," said Mumbai. "And you call yourself a fucking stage manager?" I snapped. "I'll tell you what to do. First of all, when you see Scarborough next, you apologise to her and see if she's okay. Secondly, next time you move any piece of equipment that is not your department's, you tell the manager of that department what it is you've moved so they can make sure it's put back where it's supposed to be. Thirdly, tell your stage team what happened so everyone can learn from that mistake so it never fucking happens again. And finally, if I ever have to coax information out of you again, I swear down I'll fucking have you." I paused. "Now get the fuck out of my sight. I don't want to have any more conversations like this with you ever again. If the cast and crew can't trust their stage manager, who the fuck can they trust?" I walked away and the head dancer followed. He took me aside and said, "I wish we had more people like you in the fleet. We wouldn't have half as many incidents." "I know," I said, "but if the company pays peanuts for their crew and promote people from the housekeeping thinking that they can be stage managers, then they're going to get monkeys." "Hear, hear," said the head dancer. We both left the theatre and went down to get some lunch.